Howdy folks. So today we will be building the Bulbasaur Prusa Mini. And this guy is very handy. He was printed entirely out of cookie CAD filament. And he will be making the build of the entirety of this Prusa Mini. So this is purely an aesthetics mod. This was designed by Neil 3D Prints. You can get this mod on printables. And I will go ahead and start with taking apart some of the main components here. You don't need to take a lot off the printer. All you should really need to do is take off this front pin and this front panel. And then you'll separate this belt and you'll have to retighten the belt. So let me get a better view here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this side panel off here. And I'm using an iFixit kit. You can use any sort of Allen key that came with the printer. And sometimes that knob pops off there like a handy little guy. And so we're going to go ahead and unplug this. And you're going to carefully squeeze the pins and ever so gently wiggle this out of its container. Alright, and then you're going to take this screw out. And we're going to replace this housing later with this housing. So I'm going to put those there. And then now, what we're going to go ahead and do is put on the back piece. And this will help stabilize everything as we build the rest of this. If I can find the right piece. There we go. So this part is the trickiest part. What we're going to do is we're going to lift this onto its side. And you don't need to take off this front piece for this yet. And you're going to pull this wire to the pin pad a little bit off to the side. And you can see in these grooves, if I can angle this correctly, these grooves are what's going to slide into this channel here. There's a path for the cords to go in. So all you want to do is you want to make sure those cords don't get pinched and that this cord goes through this main channel on the front. And you're going to pull that down a little bit, but not too hard because it's not screwed in yet. And so we're going to take this screw out right here. And I might have popped this in a little too early. That's fine. And you'll want the bigger Allen key for this. It's also really nice to have the handle on the printer. If you don't already have one on there, I highly recommend it. And we're just going to screw this guy out of here. And that's going to be a little loose, so you're just going to be careful. And this is the only piece that needs to screw on to the printer. The rest of these pieces don't need to screw on at all. So we're going to take this and slide it into the middle channel here. And once again, securing that, you're going to lay this flat. And you're going to use this filament box to kind of help position everything. So this isn't quite in there. There we go. And then you're going to double check your path and make sure none of your cables are squished. It's good. We're going to slide that hole so it meets up with the other two holes. And this is where it gets a little difficult one-handed. But all you need to do is just screw this bad boy right into this groove here. And then we're going to take this front piece. And now is when we need to begin unscrewing this front piece here. So you're going to loosen the belts. Righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? Let me angle this so you guys can see. And what I do is I press this in while I unscrew it. Because otherwise it's just going to bore out the hole there. Alright, and you're going to take these 2 feet screws, and you're going to have an alternative Y plate. These, if I can handle them, go right here. And you're going to set that aside for now. And you're going to let this kind of fall down there. And we're going to swap out our bit again. You're really only going to use 2 sizes of bit. It's probably going to be like your more medium-sized Allen key and your bigger one. Look at me, I'm swapping too many bits here. And then once you've taken all 4 of these screws out, you should have a little drawer that you printed out. You're going to just put all of your bits and pieces in here. It's going to make your life so much easier during this build. Once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and pull this off very carefully. These back rods will come off. So what you're going to do is you're just going to hold those in place and carefully slide this off of there. And I popped one off. So all you have to do if that happens is just pop it right back into place. Make sure that's tucked back. Next, we're going to take our front drawer piece. You can look at the filament on that. It's really nice. I was really pleased with how the pink star stuff came out. And then you're going to take this, carefully get it in the grooves, and you're going to take your pin pad cable, make sure not to pinch it in the grooves. And sometimes your box might get in the way. There you go. And then once you've got that screwed on, or pushed on, you're going to take your back piece here, his little hind leggy. You only want to make sure you glue one side of this piece, because if you glue both sides of these together, it will never come apart again, and you will have a lot of problems taking apart this printer. So with that, we're going to lift up this side of the printer, and we're going to gently yet firmly place it in the grooves. There should be no wires for you to have to worry about back here. So as you do that, you're going to push that box back. You're going to need it again here in a minute, but it should be pretty stable just on the 3 legs. And now we've got things really cooking. We're about halfway done here. And then all you're going to do, same deal here. Oops. I don't have something in all the way. So we're just going to lift this by the back here. And this one is honestly the hardest piece to get in here. For whatever reason, the tolerance is just really weird. But if you can get it in there, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to set him on his behind right here. There we go. And then we're going to plop him back up here. Be careful of his rods. Now we have this piece right here. This piece goes in the back of his head. This is a key component now to put this in with your Y plate. Otherwise, you're going to have a heck of a time getting this in here. Because as you can see, it's slotted here, but it's not, you can't get it in after the plate is already on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, feed it through. You want the notch upside down. And you're just going to slide it into your grooves here. You're going to pop your rods into your spots. And you might need to give it some light love taps to get everything together. There should be no space. There should be no space where your rods and your linear rails meet. So before we tighten this up, we're going to get this, feed this back up here after you just destroy everything. I popped the rails off again. This shouldn't happen super often, but I have third-party printed parts. Super easy to fix though. These just aren't quite as tight as I'd like them to be. There we go. Pop it back in the holes. Popped back in the holes. There we go. And let's try that one more time. So once we've got that in there, just go ahead and lightly screw these back into place. Not all the way. You never want to tighten them all the way if you don't have to. Your belt shouldn't be that tight, but you just want to get it attached, if you know what I mean. Alright, and then your belt should be a little loose. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fill in these holes with their screws, such as they were with this piece. So each of these 4 holes will have their own screw. And then what I do is I do these diagonally. Alright, so now that we've got these 4 screws in here, we're about done. So all we need to do next is not deal with the head yet. So what you can do is there is this plate cover that covers the screws. Ooh. That covers the screws here, but I have these spacers and they kind of hit this bed just ever so gently. So I'm going to leave mine off. And what you can do once this is built is you can super glue this head onto this piece. I don't really recommend it. I like the ability to take the head on and off so I can get to the printer really easily. But, you know, you do what you want to do. So you would glue it to this piece. And then you would just detach it as one for just a little bit of extra security. So we're going to take that off for now. We're going to deal with the belt. Now, I have an issue with my belt where it likes to be a little loosey-goosey. So we're going to tighten this down. Not even hand tight, just very loose. And we're going to see how that feels. So that feels good. All right. And then all we have left is this board, the head, the knob, and the screw. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take this bad boy out of its casing. That's an awful noise. I'm sorry. There we go. And we're going to use our little drawer. And then we're going to gently pull this out of its case. And we're going to gently put it in its new case. So it should just fit right in there like that. And we're just going to simply screw this back in where it belongs. And then I like to screw all things in diagonally to help keep the proper tension. This one doesn't want to go in. Let's try this hole. All right. Perfect. That's good enough for me. So, we're going to go ahead and pop on its little knobby. If I can get it in the right way. Perfect. And then this is in here all the way. Now is when you want to put this piece in here. In fact, probably the other way. If I can get it to slide in. There we go. So that should slide in right there. Me and this knob are having problems. So really it should just stick right on there. Perfect. And so this boy is going to go right here. So I'm going to lower the printer or the camera just a hair for this. And you're going to take that long screw and he's going to go right back through here. And you're going to screw that right into here. I've been having problems with this screw. I might just need to swap it out. Because I've tried other screws in this hole and it works. There we go, maybe. Maybe not. And that's my last screw. Might have lied. We might need one more bit. Or one more Allen key, if you will. There we go. Let's try that one more time. Alright, that one doesn't want to stay. I'm not quite sure. So really, it should stick. I see the issue. There's a heated insert. In this that I didn't plan for. And it's been sealed with Loctite. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're not going to put this on for now, because we're missing one key piece, and that is something to thread this into. Don't throw away your wing nuts, kids. So we're going to go ahead and plug this in right here. And we're just going to carefully set this here for now. And that'll be his little friend. So final piece that we're going to go ahead and do is literally putting on this piece onto our x-axis. So all you need to do is just take this piece that you printed out. You want to make sure the cords aren't obstructed. And then you got your little magnet guy, your little Pokeball with your magnet glued on. And you're going to pop that sucker right there. And all you need to do to finish out this build is hopefully not lose your wig nut. Give him a face. And give him a name. Let me give you a better view of him. So this is our Bulby. We're going to go ahead and start him up. So let me grab his cord here. Ignore my super ratty cord. You're going to turn them on. And it's going to know that you need to do some calibrations. So you're going to go to Control, Calibrations and Tests, and you're really going to need to do your XY axis test. And if you do it right, your ball should spin. Trying to give you guys a better angle of him. I might have that belt a little too tight. And there you have it, folks. That's how you build a Bulbasaur Prusa Mini. I'm going to go ahead and end stream. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.